2024 was Lando Norris's best Formula One season so far. He had 4 victories, 8 pole positions, 13 podium finishes. He got his first win this season. And he also helped McLaren win their first constructors title in 26 years. But we all know that he would have been a lot more happier if he actually won the Drivers' Championship. And before the next season begins, judging by how the entire 2024 season panned out, there are 4 areas in which Lando can work on to definitely win the World Championship in the upcoming season. The first thing he needs to do is he needs to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. So, if you recall the 2024 Austrian Grand Prix, he and Max Verstappen had a collision on lap 64. Max went to the pits. He had a puncture. He went to the pits, got a new set of tires. I think he came back and he finished sixth, I think. But Lando Norris, on the other hand, he decided to retire. In the post-race interview, he said that he could have nursed the car back, be a little bit more careful and finished in some points. And he should have done that. It would have been a huge mental victory, first of all, because not every day is gonna go your way. Some days you will have to you have to drive a damaged car, or you have to drive a car which is not suitable, and you still have to get the most out of it. Think about the 2021 season, Hungarian GP. In the opening stages of the race, Valtteri Bottas, Lando Norris had a collision which destroyed Max Verstappen's car. The right-hand side barge board and the floor was completely gone. The car was basically undrivable. He still drove the car and finished P10. After Sebastian Vettel's retirement, I think he was updated to P9. Like, overall, you can argue that those 1 or 2 points didn't really matter because he won in Abu Dhabi. But it was a huge mental victory. The same thing goes for Lewis Hamilton in 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He had a little bit of front wing damage. It was costing him significant time. Apparently, it was 4/10ths per lap. He still went on to win that race, still got the fastest lap. All of these mental victories are absolutely essential. And if Lando could have continued in Austria, he should have continued in Austria. Being comfortable in the uncomfortable is a championship mentality because you need to extract the maximum out of the car, not only when the car is good. Everyone can do that when the car is good. You have to also learn to do it when the car is, broken or damaged, or the circumstances are not in your favor. The second thing Lando Norris needs to do is start trusting himself more. He needs to believe in his ability to extract the maximum out of the car because he is actually capable of doing that. In the 2024 British Grand Prix, dynamic weather conditions, so the race starts in dry, then it rains, wet conditions, then it becomes dry again, right? And in order to have a good advantage over your rivals, you need to time the tire change right. Like from going to dry tires to wet tires in the first crossover, and then going from wet tires to dry tires in the second crossover. Instead of making the calls himself, he was kind of reactive. He looked at what Hamilton was doing, he looked at what Verstappen was doing, and then he, made the decision. So in the first crossover, for instance, he waited for 1 lap extra after Verstappen and Hamilton changed their tires. He needs that validation in his head. Like, this is what the champions are doing. This is what the guys who are better than him, like, this is what he thinks in his mentality. He needs to change that. He needs to start believing in himself more. He trusts his skill set more because you have driven in rain, in wet conditions, in many, many tracks throughout your entire amateur and professional racing career. You know when you should change the tires, you know your limits, and you have consistently tested and pushed your limits throughout the years. This reactive approach in the British Grand Prix cost him the win. He could have at least finished ahead of Verstappen, but instead he chose for the soft tires because Hamilton chose for the soft tires, and that those tires did not have enough grip, and he was eventually passed by Max Verstappen and finished behind him in that race. The third thing Lando needs to do, which I think is the most important thing, is to stop admitting inferiority in talent. The majority of 2024 season, Lando believed that he is not ready to win a championship. He also believed that he is not in the level of a championship winning driver in the likes of like Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton. He did not believe that. He obviously vocally said it in many, many interviews and, post-race interviews and stuff like that, which is, again, a stupid move. To beat the best and be the best, you have to believe that you are the best. Max said that he is the best. And he explains why he said that. He said that in order to be the best and beat the best, you have to believe you are the best. He said something along those lines. That's not the exact verbatim, but Lando needs to believe that. And because he believes that he is inferior in talent, he kind of welcomes a lot of silly mistakes. In the 2024 Brazilian Grand Prix, especially in the second safety car restart, he lost 2 positions. He actually went wide in the first corner and he lost 2 positions to Leclerc and Piastri. And he welcomed these mistakes. In his mind, he is like, well, I'm not as good as Max, right? In these conditions, in these dynamic weather conditions where visibility is poor and, the grip is very difficult to get, I'm not really good at it. Again, it may be true, but if you accept that you're inferior, you're kind of opening the door for mistakes, because the mistakes, by the logical part of your brain, is already justified because you're not as good as the guys who are getting the most out of the car in whatever conditions. So he needs to start believing that he can be the best. He needs to start believing that he is not, in fact, inferior to anybody. Look, man, everyone can improve, but you have to do it silently. Stop saying it outside. Stop saying it in the media and in all of the interviews. The last thing Lando Norris needs to do to win in 2025 is to be okay with bending the rules at times. Getting into Formula One is difficult. Getting a seat in a championship winning team is difficult. And being in a position when you are fighting for the world title with the support of the team is even more difficult. When you have all of the stars aligned, you need to push every day. You need to go for every gap that exists. You need to capitalize on every opportunity that presents itself. You should be okay with pushing the boundaries in terms of aggressive defense or attack. And at times, you also need to ruin the races of your rivals in order to win championships. Max does it. Michael Schumacher did it. You may need to do it too, because that's how cutthroat and difficult Formula One is. And this is a broader problem with Lando Norris because he is just a nice guy. Niceness does not win championships. I mean, I understand that he wants to be friends with Max Verstappen and they have good relationship and all that type of stuff, but friendships don't last in F1 title fights. Just ask Lewis and Nico. So Lando needs to be a little bit cold-hearted, a little bit more pragmatic and calculated. He needs to understand what's at stake here. He has made many, many sacrifices to get where he is today and needs to understand that the world is not fair. And towards the end of 2024 season, there were actually some good hope, because in the Qatar Grand Prix, he started the sprint on pole positions, did not ruin the start. In the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, started the race on pole position, did not ruin the start. So it seems that he is improving. I'm happy that he is improving. All he needs to do is to just continue the momentum. Nico Rosberg did that too. I think he won the last 2 or 3 races of the 2015 season, and then, he went on and won the 2016 World Drivers' Championship. Lando can definitely take the positive momentum in which he ended 2024, winning the Constructors' Championship for McLaren, dominant drive in Abu Dhabi, didn't really put a foot wrong. So there is very much hope that he can win in 2025. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.